My GF took her first love to the party, a friend sent me their kissing video and I stayed Clam. It was a Thursday evening when her message came through, short, casual and almost careless. Mina, hey babe. Don't forget, the company's hosting a celebration banquet tomorrow night. You can come if you want. If you want. 3 simple words that sat strangely heavy on my chest. She used to say, I want you there with me, or we'll go together. But lately, everything felt distant. Even her love you sounded like an obligation. Still, I stared at my phone for a moment, thumb hovering above the keyboard before replying. Me, of course. Wouldn't miss it. But she didn't answer. Not immediately. Minutes passed. Then an hour. When my phone finally lit up, it wasn't a text, it was her Instagram story. Can't wait to celebrate with old friends tonight #reunion vibes. And there it was, tagged beneath a photo of champagne glasses clinking. At Jinwoo_Lee. My heart skipped. That name, it was a ghost from her past. Back when we started dating she once told me, almost in a whisper, that Jinwoo was her first love. Her college boyfriend. The one who got away, she joked lightly. But her eyes had lingered on the memory just a little too long. I'd never thought much of it since. We all have our past. But seeing his name again, on her story tagged like a badge of nostalgia, stirred something uneasy in me. Still I brushed it off. I told myself, she's professional. It's just work. After all, Jinwoo was apparently a creative director at a brand that had just partnered with her company. It made sense, right? That night, I stood by the window of our apartment, city lights stretching endlessly below. Mina was in the bedroom, packing a sleek black dress into a garment bag. Her reflection in the mirror was stunning, red lips, soft curls falling perfectly to her shoulders. I smiled. You look amazing, I said. She glanced at me through the mirror. Thanks. It's just a company event though. Nothing big. Her tone was light, but her hands fidgeted, adjusting her earrings, brushing invisible dust off the fabric, reapplying lipstick even though it didn't need it. She was nervous. Not the kind of nervous that comes before a speech or a performance. The kind that comes before seeing someone you haven't seen in a long time. Want me to pick you up afterward? I asked casually. She froze for half a second, barely noticeable but I caught it. Then she smiled. No, it's fine. We'll probably finish late. I'll grab a ride with the team. The team. I nodded, pretending not to notice the way she avoided eye contact. Pretending that my stomach hadn't just knotted into something cold and heavy. When she finally left, perfume trailing behind her like a memory, I stood by the door for a long time. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that made you question things you thought were solid. I sat on the couch, turned on the TV and tried to focus on the flashing lights of some random show. But all I could think of was that tagged name, Jinwoo, and the way her lips curved slightly when she said his name years ago. Somewhere deep down, I already knew tomorrow night wouldn't end well. I just didn't know how bad it would get. The next evening arrived faster than I expected. The city skyline shimmered under the soft gold of Friday night. Taxis honking, people laughing on sidewalks, music spilling out from open doors of rooftop lounges. And somewhere among those lights, Mina was smiling, clinking glasses, living her career dream moment. At least that's what I told myself. I didn't go. I told her I had work to finish, but the truth was, I didn't feel invited. Not really. So I stayed home, laptop open, pretending to read emails while the clock ticked past midnight. Then my phone buzzed. Kenny, my best friend since high school, was calling. His voice came through loud and urgent. Yo bro, are you awake? Yeah. Why? Man. I don't know how to say this, but you need to check your messages. Pause. Then came the ping of an incoming video. What is it? I asked. Just brace yourself, okay? He hung up before I could ask more. The file name read, Marketing Queen Mina and her college ex on stage. Crowd goes wild. I clicked. Music blasted through my speakers. A glitzy hotel ballroom filled with laughter, camera flashes, champagne towers. The atmosphere was electric, the kind of chaos that happens when professionals drink too much and forget they're adults. The video panned across a stage where Mina stood in a satin dress that shimmered like liquid silver under the lights. Her hair was pinned loosely, a few strands framing her face. And next to her, smiling confidently, was Jinwoo. The host, microphone in hand, shouted playfully. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 years ago, these two were the hottest couple on campus. Come on, give us a throwback moment. One kiss for old time's sake. The crowd erupted into cheers. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Mina laughed nervously, hiding her face with her hand. But Jinwoo, he didn't hesitate. He stepped closer, murmured something in her ear, and before she could react, his hand slid around her waist. Then, under the flashing lights, she looked up, and didn't pull away. Their lips met. It wasn't a shy peck, not an awkward, joking brush for the crowd. It was intentional. It was familiar. The room screamed. Glasses clinked. Phones recorded. And someone yelled, "Guess the first love never really dies." The laughter blurred with the music as they finally parted. Mina's expression caught between surprise and something that looked dangerously close to longing. My hand tightened around the phone, knuckles whitening. The video ended with a sea of flashing cameras and Jinwoo bowing dramatically, arms still resting around her shoulders like she was a prize he'd just reclaimed. I replayed it once, then twice, just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. But no, it was real. Every second of it. I leaned back on the couch, eyes blankly fixed on the ceiling. I expected rage, heartbreak, something, but instead, I laughed. A low, tired, bitter laugh. "So this is what it looks like," I muttered. "The moment love dies." Kenny texted again. "Bro, are you okay? This thing's going viral on TikTok already." Someone posted it with slow-motion filters and dramatic music. #office love story. I typed slowly. "I'm fine." He called back instantly. "Fine? Dude, she was all over that guy. You're just gonna let that slide." But I didn't answer. Because while everyone else saw a shocking betrayal, I saw confirmation. Every excuse, every work dinner, every late-night text she smiled at but never explained, it all added up now. I turned the phone sideways, watching the paused frame of her smile right before the kiss. That smile used to be mine. But now, it looked like she'd just found something she'd been missing for years. So I did the only thing that made sense to me. I opened the viral post, scrolled through the comments filled with fire emojis and gossip, and typed. "After sneaking around for so many years, they finally dare to kiss openly. Congrats." Then I pressed send. The moment I hit that button, I felt free. I turned off my phone, leaned back, and let the quiet of the apartment fill the air again. No shouting. No crying. Just the hum of the fridge and the faint echo of the song still looping in my head from the video. "Love me like you used to." For the first time in months, I didn't feel angry. I felt done. The sun rose late the next morning, or maybe it just felt that way because I hadn't slept. I lay on the couch, eyes open, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above me. The room still smelled faintly of her perfume, though she hadn't been home all night. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Group chats. Mentions. Missed calls. By 9 a.m. I had over 200 notifications. Everyone had seen it. The video. The kiss. My comment. "Yo bro, you really commented that? Savage move, man. Are you okay? Like, actually okay?" Even people I barely talked to were messaging me. Classmates, coworkers, random followers who suddenly decided to play therapist. I scrolled absently, half smiling at the absurdity of it all. The post had gone viral overnight. Half the internet thought it was romantic. First love reunited, fate bringing them back together. The other half had turned my single comment into a trending meme. #after sneaking around was now a hashtag. People were making skits about calm revenge. Someone even used my line in a TikTok voiceover. After sneaking around for so many years, they finally dare to kiss openly. Congrats. I should have been humiliated, angry, heartbroken. But all I felt was detached. Like I was watching a scene from someone else's life. Like it was an old movie I'd already seen too many times. Around noon, Kenny showed up at my door with a bag of takeout and a look of disbelief. "You're really just sitting here? What else am I supposed to do? I don't know, scream? Throw something? Maybe call her and demand an explanation?" I shrugged. She already gave it. Just didn't use words. He sighed, setting the food on the table. "You're either the calmest guy alive or completely broken inside. There's no in between." Maybe he was right. Maybe both were true. Because deep down, I knew the truth had been bleeding through long before the video. This wasn't shock, it was closure wearing a cruel disguise. Later that afternoon, I finally turned my phone back on. A flood of notifications filled the screen, and at the top of them, Mina's name. "Mina, we need to talk. Mina, please call me. Mina, it's not what it looks like." I almost laughed at that one. Not what it looks like. That phrase had probably been rehearsed by cheaters since the dawn of time. I didn't respond. Instead, I went to her page. The last post she'd made, a photo from the event, was now flooded with comments. "So this is the girl from the viral kiss grimacing face. Poor boyfriend. She doesn't deserve him. Girl, at least hide it better next time. The internet had already chosen its villain. For a brief second I actually felt sorry for her. Because while I had already processed my heartbreak in silence, she was now drowning in a public storm. But then again, she lit the match. By evening she finally called. I let it ring once, twice, then picked up. You've ruined my reputation, she snapped before I could even speak. I ruined your reputation? I repeated, almost amused. Interesting way to phrase it. You had no right to comment like that. Everyone's talking about me. Even my boss called. Maybe you should have thought of that before kissing someone in front of cameras. It was just a joke. The host made us. The crowd. You didn't have to say yes, Mina. There was a long pause. The kind that stretches thin until you can almost hear the regret trembling behind it. Then she said quietly, "You're not even mad. What? Don't you care?" I smiled faintly, though she couldn't see it. Mad? No. I think I ran out of anger months ago. Another silence. Then the line went dead. When night fell I stepped outside. The city lights glittered like they were mocking me, thousands of tiny stars that didn't care who kissed who. I lit a cigarette I didn't intend to finish, staring at the smoke curling into the air. My reflection glimmered faintly in a shop window, tired eyes, calm face, the ghost of a man who had finally stopped fighting for something already lost. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't always explode. Sometimes, it just fades, quietly, cleanly, like a candle that runs out of wax. And as the last notification buzzed on my phone, another stranger commenting, "Bro's ice cold skull," I realized something. They were wrong. It wasn't coldness. It was freedom. The morning after our phone call, I woke to silence, the kind that feels deliberate. No messages. No noise. Just a heavy stillness that pressed against the walls. The video was still trending. Over 1 million views overnight. Comment sections filled with strangers dissecting our relationship like it was a TV drama. He's too calm, he must have been planning to break up already. I'd go crazy if my girl did that. That man's peace scares me, I aspire to it. I didn't bother responding. I'd learned that when the world is busy talking about you, the loudest power is in silence. It was around 10 a.m. when I finally opened the curtains. The city outside looked different somehow, not brighter or darker, just detached. Like I was watching it through a window that didn't quite belong to me anymore. I brewed coffee. The routine was comforting. 2 sugars. 1 stir. Mina always used to tease me for how particular I was about it. "Are you making coffee or performing a ritual?" she'd laugh. Funny how quiet rituals become the only thing that keeps you sane after love dies. The phone buzzed again, a new message. Not from her this time, but from a mutual friend. "Hannah, hey, are you okay? Just wanted you to know Mina didn't show up to work today. The office is chaos. People are gossiping non-stop." Me, "I'm fine." "Hannah, you don't sound fine." Me, "I stopped trying to." I set the phone aside. I wasn't angry at Mina anymore. If anything, I felt a kind of pity, not for what she did but for how easily she destroyed something that once meant everything. By noon there was a knock at my door. Soft, hesitant, almost guilty. I already knew who it was. When I opened it, Mina stood there, dressed down in an oversized hoodie, eyes red and swollen. She looked smaller somehow, like the weight of the world had finally caught up to her. "You look tired," I said quietly. Her voice cracked. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside wordlessly. The air between us was thick with everything we weren't saying. She stood there, fidgeting, gaze darting around the living room, the same space where we'd laughed, argued, loved. Now I felt foreign. "So," she began, her voice barely a whisper. "You really packed my things?" I nodded toward the corner. Neat brown boxes stacked beside the door. Labeled with her name in black marker. Her lip trembled. "You were serious. When have you known me to joke about this kind of thing?" Silence. Then a tear rolled down her cheek. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. You have to believe me. Didn't you?" I asked gently. "You kissed him like you'd been waiting years for it." She covered her face with her hands, crying softly. I didn't move closer. I didn't comfort her. Maybe that was the cruelest part, how I no longer felt the instinct to. "It was stupid," she choked out. Everyone was cheering. I panicked. "You didn't panic," I said. "You remembered." Her head snapped up, eyes glistening. "Remembered what?" "What it used to feel like. What it's like to love someone who wasn't me." The silence that followed hit harder than any argument could. After a long pause, she whispered, "I didn't cheat on you before that night. I swear." I nodded. Maybe. But emotionally? You left a long time ago, Mina. That broke her. She sank onto the couch, sobbing quietly, the same couch where we'd once fallen asleep watching movies, tangled in warmth and comfort that now felt like someone else's memory. I stood near the window, looking out at the fading afternoon light. You know, I said softly, everyone keeps asking me why I'm not angry. She sniffled. And what do you tell them? That I already mourned this relationship before it ended. Her breath hitched because she knew it was true. For months she'd been slipping away piece by piece. First it was the late replies, then the work dinners, then the way she'd smile at her phone with that faraway look, like her mind was elsewhere. The night of the kiss didn't kill us. It just buried what had already died quietly. When she finally stood to leave, she hesitated by the door. You're really letting me go? I turned, meeting her eyes one last time. You already walked away. I'm just closing the door behind you. Her tears fell freely now, each one a tiny reflection of regret too late to matter. She opened her mouth to speak, then stopped, because there was nothing left to say. The door closed softly behind her. I stared at it for a long time, waiting for something to break inside me. But nothing did. No rage. No sorrow. Just stillness. The kind that comes after a storm, when all that's left are the quiet ruins and the faint smell of rain. That evening I posted nothing. Said nothing. I just sat on the balcony watching the city lights flicker against the night sky. Somewhere out there, Mina was facing her consequences. Maybe crying, maybe explaining herself to people who didn't care. And me? I took a sip of cold coffee, exhaled, and realized that peace isn't loud. It's the silence that follows when you finally stop begging for explanations. 2 days passed. The noise online hadn't quieted. If anything, it had gotten louder. Every gossip page, relationship forum, and entertainment site had picked up the story. Viral kiss between former lovers causes PR nightmare. Marketing manager Mina Kim suspended amid online scandal. Boyfriend's cold comment steals the internet. I didn't read most of it. I'd muted her name, blocked a few curious coworkers, and deleted half my apps. But peace on the internet is like silence in a storm, you only get seconds of it. That morning I went out for a walk. The air was crisp, sunlight cutting through the pale sky. For the first time in weeks I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about myself, about how quiet healing really starts before you realize it. I ordered a coffee at a small cafe, sat by the window and checked my phone out of habit. That's when I saw it. A post. No. Public. At Jim_Lee, the man in the video. He'd uploaded a picture. Him and Mina side by side, holding hands, smiling faintly under soft morning light. The caption read, "No more hiding, red heart, some stories deserve a second chance." My thumb hovered above the screen. The comments were flooding in. You two look perfect together. This is so romantic. Love always finds its way back. Wait, isn't that the girl from the viral video? They looked happy. Or maybe just guilty in good lighting. I stared at the photo for a long minute, then set the phone down. There it was, the confirmation. The closure I hadn't even needed. Everyone else was just finding out now. But I had known for months. It started 3 months earlier with a receipt. Mina had gone on a weekend business trip to Busan. But when she returned, a restaurant bill fell from her purse. A seaside bistro for two, dated the same weekend. The signature at the bottom wasn't hers. When I asked, she laughed it off. Oh, that must be a client dinner. They probably used my card by mistake. I wanted to believe her. But a week later, I found a text while she was in the shower. A message from someone saved as J. Same place next weekend? You looked even more beautiful this time. Jinwoo. Same initials. Same timing. I remember sitting in silence that day, the phone screen glowing like a confession I didn't ask for. But instead of confronting her, I waited. I wanted to see how far she'd go pretending. And she did. She smiled, kissed me goodnight, said, "I love you," like it still meant something. I stayed, not because I was weak but because I wanted her to reveal the truth herself. She never did. The universe did it for her. Back at the cafe, I sipped my coffee slowly, feeling the bitterness coat my tongue. A group of students at the next table whispered excitedly, watching something on their phones. I didn't need to ask what it was. Mina's name was everywhere. Again. I opened my messages. There was another one from her. "Mina, please don't believe what you see online. It's complicated." Complicated. That word again. I typed back. "No, it's not. You chose him. You just forgot to tell me." I didn't wait for her reply. I deleted the chat. It felt like deleting an old wound, not painless but clean. Later that night, Kenny called. Man, you've seen their post, right? She's moved on like nothing happened. She's not moving on, I said quietly. She's hiding behind him. Still, you good? Yeah. And I was. For the first time, I genuinely meant it. Because love built on lies doesn't deserve mourning, it deserves silence. I scrolled once more through Jinwoo's caption before closing the app entirely. No more hiding. He was right. There was no more hiding. Not for her. Not for him. And not for me, from the truth I'd been too patient to face. That night, I sat at my desk and opened the drawer where I'd kept our photos, letters, and tickets from trips we took. One by one, I tore them gently, not in anger but in acceptance. When the last piece fluttered into the bin, I whispered softly, "Goodbye, Mina. I hope he's worth what you lost." Then I turned off the light. For the first time in months, I slept without dreams. Without questions. Without her. By the time the weekend came, the storm around Mina had reached its peak. Every gossip page had squeezed the story dry. Every photo, every caption, every public moment she'd ever posted had been dissected, analyzed, and mocked. Her company suspended her, pending internal review. Jinwoo's firm issued a bland PR statement about personal matters not affecting professional integrity. The world had moved on, but she hadn't. I hadn't spoken to her since my last message. My phone was quiet now, and for the first time I liked it that way. No notifications. No explanations. No noise. Just peace. A peace that came not from forgetting but from no longer caring. That Sunday morning I woke early. The sun had just begun to rise, bleeding light into my apartment. I made coffee, 2 sugars, 1 stir. The familiar rhythm grounded me. Then I opened my closet and began to pack. Not her things, those were gone, but mine. Books, clothes, small mementos, the plant she gave me last Christmas that somehow still thrived. I was moving. Not far, just to a smaller apartment across town. A place where her ghost wouldn't linger in the corners. Around noon I heard a knock at the door. Soft, hesitant, familiar. I sighed. I knew that knock. When I opened the door, Mina stood there again, this time with her hair tied back, face pale, wearing a simple beige coat. No makeup. No armor. She looked real again. Not the flawless woman from her social media, not the marketing manager everyone envied, just Mina stripped down to raw regret. "I shouldn't have come," she began softly. "You shouldn't have," I agreed. But I stepped aside anyway. She entered, glancing around like she was walking through a museum of old memories. The silence stretched until she finally spoke. "Jinwoo posted that photo without telling me," she said, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to make it public like that. I thought maybe, if things quieted down, we could talk." I nodded slowly. "You wanted to control the narrative. But life doesn't always let us edit the story, Mina." Her eyes filled with tears again. "I ruined everything, didn't I?" I didn't answer. She already knew. "I lost my job," she whispered. "My boss said clients don't want someone involved in scandal. Jinwoo's firm put him on leave too. And now..." Her voice broke. "Now I don't even know what I have left." I looked at her, the same woman who once lit up my world, and realized something profound. She wasn't the same anymore. Neither was I. "You still have yourself," I said finally. "That's not enough." "It has to be," I replied gently. "Because that's all any of us ever really have when everything else falls apart." She sank onto the couch, hugging her knees like a child. "How are you so calm?" she asked after a long pause. "Because I made peace with losing you long before you left," I said. "You stopped loving me?" "No. I just stopped fighting for someone who'd already walked away." She wiped her face, her shoulders trembling. "Do you hate me?" I shook my head. "No. Hate takes too much energy. I'd rather spend mine healing." She looked up, eyes glistening. "I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself." "Then start by learning to live with it," I said quietly. "Forgiveness doesn't erase what you did, it just stops the wound from bleeding." When she finally stood, she hesitated by the door again. "Is this goodbye?" she whispered. I nodded. "Yeah. But not in anger. Just in acceptance." She gave a faint, trembling smile, the kind that hurts more than crying. Then she turned and left. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Not a slam, not a shout, just finality. I stood there for a while, staring at the empty space she'd left. No sadness. No relief. Just quiet. That's when it hit me. Closure doesn't always come from apologies. Sometimes, it comes from your own decision to stop reopening the wound. That evening, I took one last look around the apartment. the couch, the balcony, the kitchen counter where we used to cook together. Each spot carried a memory, but memories can't hold you forever. I picked up my keys, exhaled deeply, and walked out. The hallway smelled faintly of rain. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled. As I locked the door for the last time, I whispered to myself, "You did your part. Now let go." And I did. That night, as I lay in my new apartment, smaller, emptier, quieter, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. The kind that doesn't shout or demand attention. The kind that simply is. Sometimes walking away isn't revenge. It's rebirth. It had been 3 weeks since everything exploded. 3 quiet, healing, strangely beautiful weeks. The internet had already moved on, as it always does, but somehow my one sarcastic comment had taken on a life of its own. After sneaking around for so many years, they finally dared to kiss openly. Congrats. Someone screenshotted it, posted it on X, formerly Twitter, and within days it had been shared over 1 million times. They called me, the man who stayed calm. Threads appeared dissecting my emotional restraint. Relationship coaches made videos analyzing my response as the new era of silent detachment. A popular blogger even wrote, "His calm is louder than rage." That's the kind of maturity heartbreak rarely teaches. I didn't ask for it. I didn't even care for the attention. But somehow that one act of calm became my story, rewritten by strangers who saw strength where I only felt tired acceptance. Meanwhile, life had started again. I'd settled into my new apartment. Smaller, yes, but filled with sunlight. I changed the furniture layout every weekend, learning to make the space mine. I picked up painting again, something I'd stopped years ago when Mina and I got serious. Each stroke on the canvas felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. One evening, while I was sketching near the window, a familiar notification tone buzzed. It was an email. From Mina. My chest tightened a little. Not from hope, just the echo of a wound that once mattered. I hesitated, then opened it. Subject: just one last thing. From Mina Lee. Time: 8:42 p.m. I don't expect you to reply. I just wanted to say I finally understand what you meant. About peace, about acceptance. You were right. I thought control was power, but you showed me that letting go is stronger. I started therapy. I'm rebuilding slowly. It hurts, but it's real this time. You don't have to forgive me, but I want you to know I'll always respect you for how you handled everything. You didn't curse me or shame me or seek revenge. You just stayed calm. And somehow that silence taught me more than any fight ever could. I hope you find someone who never makes you question your worth again. Mina. I read it twice. Then I closed the email and didn't respond. Not out of spite, but because there was nothing left to say. Sometimes silence is not avoidance. It's closure. I turned back to my painting, a quiet sunrise over a calm sea. Soft hues of gold, silver, and blue. No storm, no chaos, just light meeting water. That's what healing felt like to me now, the dawn after the longest night. Days passed and my life grew beautifully uneventful. I met new people, not romantically, just kind souls who didn't know my history. We shared laughter that wasn't tinted by pain. I even found myself at a small art fair one weekend, displaying 2 of my recent works. Someone stopped by my stand, a woman with curly hair and eyes that smiled before her lips did. She looked at one of my paintings and said, "It feels peaceful. Like whoever painted this finally learned to breathe again." I smiled. Maybe that's exactly what happened. As the fair lights dimmed and the crowd thinned, I sat under the fading sunset. The air smelled of rain and renewal. I pulled out my phone one last time and opened the old viral post, now buried under new trends and gossip. The comment I wrote still sat there, frozen in digital time. I stared at it for a while, then whispered softly, "Thank you for teaching me how to stay calm, even when the world isn't." Then I locked my phone, slid it into my pocket, and stood up. The evening breeze carried a hint of laughter and music from a nearby cafe. Life was moving forward again. And this time I wasn't chasing it. I was walking with it. I used to think love was about holding on. Now I know, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to let go quietly. Without anger, without bitterness, just peace. Because when the storm is over, and you're still standing, calm, that's not weakness. That's strength.